Welcome, everyone. I'm David Nunez. I am the head of school here at Great River. I use he, him pronouns, and I am here to talk to you tonight about a couple different things, but I wanted to give you a sense of how the whole evening was going to work in case you didn't have that information yet. So we're going to start the evening. I see there's a mix here of people who are parents and families of current students and also families of potential students here at Great River. And so we're going to start the evening by talking about Great River very generally, what we do, how we do it, why we do it. Also a little bit about the different outcomes, test scores, things like that, just because that is part of what we people look at when they're looking at schools. And also then at 6:45, we're going to have a couple different sessions going on for 7th and 8th grade students, or students who will be 7th and 8th grade, and students who will be 9th through 12th grade. So we're going to split up into different groups and hear more specifics about level based on what level you're interested in hearing about. I'd also like to introduce Stacy. So come on over, Stacy, introduce yourself.
I am Stacy Krieger. I am the Director of Administration. I use she, her pronouns. I've been at Great River now for 10 years, and so I know quite a bit about all of the logistics and things that go into the school. So I'm here to answer questions, and I'll probably talk about a slide or two.
Thanks, Stacy. Yes, so I've been here now. This is my 3rd year here at Great River. And I am not just the head of school. I am just the head of school. I am also a parent here at Great River. So I have a 8th grader and a 9th grader who are students here at Great River. So the Great River School mission is Great River School, a Montessori learning community, prepares students for their unique roles as responsible and engaged citizens of the world. We are a tuition-free public charter school, and we foster self-expression in a supportive environment and value critical thinking and richness and strength of a diverse community. Great River encourages students to seek new challenges and explore their abilities, but I'm going to speak more about that as we go through the presentation. So to start with, Great River is a Montessori program. So I wanted to use, to make sure we're all on the same page, to share some vocabulary with y'all. We are a Montessori program here at Great River. Who was Maria Montessori? Well, she was a doctor, she was a researcher, she was a educator, and she spent a considerable amount of her lifetime observing children. And I'm going to get to more of why that's important in just a minute. But she believed that the need to learn was inborn inside human beings, and that they construct their own learning. So I also compare some of her work, if you're familiar with educational theorists, also to Paulo Freire and his work around the difference between a traditional education, which he refers to as a banking education, and more of what a Montessori education looks like. What I mean by that, is there someone at the front of the room, the sage on the stage, as the Montessorians refer to, is there someone at the front of the room who's talking at the students and depositing knowledge into their heads? Or is there somebody who is working alongside the students to discover and learn and help the students grow? Which is why we don't use the term teacher here at Great River, we use the term guide. And so when you hear me talking about the adults in the building, I may refer to guides. I might use the term teacher tonight just to make sure we're all on the same page. But generally we use the term guide here. And the idea is that guides show you where to look, but not what to see. So it's a very different model than a traditional banking model of education like I was referring to a moment ago. Also really important, I think, to know about Montessori is that it's actually the most widely practiced method of instruction in the entire world. There are about 20,000 Montessori schools worldwide. When I did my Montessori training, it was a virtual training, and one of the coolest things about it was that there were teachers' guides there from all over the world. So we broke into small groups, and I was talking with a guide from Singapore and a guide from Japan and a guide from Brazil. And Montessori schools are like that. They are everywhere you go. In the United States, there's about 3,000 Montessori schools, and about 560 of those are public schools. But 1st through 12th grade public Montessoris are very rare. There's only a handful of them around the country, really. So what we're doing here and how we combine it with International Baccalaureate, which is the next thing I wanted to talk about, is a pretty unique thing. International Baccalaureate is a global program that we have in the 11th and 12th grade here at Great River. And the idea is a globalized educational experience for students. So they teach similar curriculum around the entire world for IB students, no matter where you go and no matter what IB school you're going to. And why do we put these two things together? Well, we think they're actually a great fit. So in many ways, we think about Montessori being the way we teach, and IB at the 11th and 12th grade level being what we teach. IB has a similar sort of intrinsically motivated, self-organized, confident, curious learners, and learners who participate in a growth mindset to very similar to what Montessori really values in so many ways in education. Lastly, as far as vocabulary goes, I wanted to speak real quickly to how our grades work. So our school is broken into 4 different groups: lower elementary, lower adolescent, and upper adolescent. And here tonight, we're mostly talking about lower and upper adolescent. The reason why, I'm not gonna go too in-depth with this. This is a Montessori thing that Montessorians talk about quite a bit. This is her model of human development, basically. The reason why we break our grades into the grades we do, 1st through 3rd, 4th through 6th, 7th through 9th, and 10th through 12th, is because of what Montessori said about human development and what Montessori believed about the ways, what needs students have, what needs young people have after watching and observing thousands and thousands of young people, what needs young people have at different developmental stages of their life. So we're basing it, all of these decisions are based on our Montessori identity and our Montessori practices. What do we do here at Great River? Well, we do some things that are pretty different. So one of the things that we do that's very different is our overnight trips, our key experiences. Students go on overnight trips starting in the 3rd grade at Great River. These trips start with trips to Widgewagon for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and trips to, not Wolfridge, Eagle Bluff. Now I'm getting my names confused. Eagle Bluff. Yes, for the 3rd grade students. Thank you. We start with 2 nights, and then they go away for 4 nights, and then in the 7th and 8th grades, they go on what we call the Odyssey, which has changed between 4 nights, 5 nights. It's been as many as, I think, 7 or 8 nights at times. Depends on the trip, where it goes, and what exactly is being sort of curricularly hit and what locations we're going to for the Odyssey. But it's a long trip, and we go right at the beginning of the school year. So students come to school, they come to school for about 2 weeks, and then they're off onto the Odyssey for 7th and 8th grade students. For 9th grade students, they go to the farm. We have a relationship with a local farm. 10th grade students go to Lake Itasca. 11th grade students go on a college tour trip. And 12th grade students go on their culminating canoe trip with their peers to have sort of a culminating experience from all their years at Great River. We also do community meetings differently here at Great River. So following a Montessori method, we teach a lot of freedom comes with responsibility. And so that also involves being active members of our community and active members of decision-making processes and communicating with each other, getting along in a social environment. We also talk quite a bit here at Great River, which I'm going to have a whole slide about here in just a second, about growth mindset. So what that means and why that's different than what you might see at a traditional school is a key central piece of what we do. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth with this chart because there's a lot of information here. But what this is comparing is the idea between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And so here at Great River, we believe and we try to teach our students how to have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset might mean that you believe intelligence, talent, certain qualities are inborn and unchangeable. And by contrast, a growth mindset means you believe that intelligence and talent can be developed and changed and can grow over time. So to give you some examples of how we think about that here at Great River, IQ, for instance. If you believe in a fixed mindset, you believe you're born with a certain IQ and that it doesn't change. And if you believe in a growth mindset, you might believe that intelligence is something that can be developed over time through hard work and dedication. Motivation. If you believe in a fixed mindset, you might believe that you want to avoid challenges because they're opportunities, because they create the possibility of failure, as opposed to having a growth mindset where failure is an opportunity to learn. And lastly, feedback. Someone with a fixed mindset would view feedback as a personal attack, whereas someone with a growth mindset is looking for constructive criticism and a way to grow. So we have a couple different studies here, and if you're interested, you can email me to get the specifics, but there are studies that have indicated that students who endorsed a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset have higher grades in mathematics, languages, and higher grade point averages overall. And that there was a study that specifically said that teaching a growth mindset, so like actively teaching to kids what it means to have a growth mindset, to juniors in high school resulted in increased motivation and increased academic performance and higher GPAs for those particular students. So we have a lot of work with, we have a lot of research that we are trying to both follow what Maria Montessori did and what her philosophy believed about the idea of using research, using science about how people learn as an essential piece of what we're doing here at Great River. Why do students succeed here? Well, I talked a little bit about responsibility. We give our students a lot of responsibility. So if you were to walk around the halls in the adolescent program on any given day, you would certainly see students working independently on projects. You would see students working in small groups. That responsibility is earned over time by showing that you have freedom is earned over time by showing that you have the responsibility to live up to those expectations that guides have for their students. Also, respect and interdependence are two other key elements of what we talk about here. So we talk about respecting each other, respecting the world, respecting the environment. And interdependence is a key element of what we talk about at Great River because we believe that we function as interdependent beings in the world. Great River is actually a great lesson that the elementary students are taught that is about interdependence. So it's where our name comes from as a school. We believe as a community in shared responsibility, in respecting the contributions of every individual, and in seeing everyone as necessary and essential to our community. So community is a key aspect of what we do. The relationships we build are what our success is based upon as a school, we believe. The skills that students build here at Great River: resilience, understanding, group work, and the capacity to try new things. You will see at Great River, for example, in the 7th and 8th grade, students might be working on an aquaponics system to learn about biology and ecology, or they might be working in a bike shop to learn about physics and to learn about math. So we push students to try new things and to build capacity to try new things by doing things differently than what you might see at a regular school. We have a small urban farm here at Great River that the students work on, and we have chickens. We have goats, although they're not here right now, but we do have goats at Great River. And so it doesn't look like what you might expect a traditional school to look like in so many ways because of what we're expecting of our students. What will my child learn is a question that comes up quite a bit. I actually had someone come to me once and said, "Do you teach kids how to read at your school?" And I was like, of course we teach students how to read. We actually do very well in reading at our school in so many ways. We teach academic skills. We also teach interdependence. We also teach respect for self, others, work, and for the environment. And we teach personal responsibility and that growth mindset in so many ways. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to find meaningful work, to choose freely what that meaningful work looks like to them, and to do meaningful work that requires collaboration with peers, that requires small group collaboration. What is the focus of this curriculum? It's hands-on. We use Montessori materials. We create individual work plans, and then we have the IB curriculum in the 11th and 12th grades specifically. Our school demographics. So to be blunt, we get this question, why such a white population at Great River? So St. Paul Public School demographics are 14% Hispanic and Latinx, 31% Asian, 25% Black, and 21% white. Here at Great River, the demographics are 9% Hispanic and Latinx, 9% Asian, 6% Black, and 74% white. Why that is tied to the nature of how our lottery system works, how we have in the past, how word has spread among certain communities about the quality of education that is here at Great River, because word of mouth is a way that is a prime way that people hear about Great River. And so what that means is if we're communicating, if we're being heard about in the community through word of mouth, is that in certain communities, our reputation is such that those communities tend to apply more to the school, which means we have a higher ratio of white students applying to the school through the lottery who get into the lottery. There is no way in the state of Minnesota to prioritize any sort of demographic information when applying or going through a lottery system to get into school. So the students who apply are the students who are coming here. We don't want to be part of a segregated school system, to be clear, so we're actively seeking to recruit lottery applicants from neighborhoods and families that are underrepresented at GRS. We also do a lot of work around equity at GRS, which I'm going to get to shortly. So we talk about things like recruiting from specific neighborhoods, and as we grow and as we change as a school, like how are we going to diversify ourselves as a community? It is a conversation we have quite a bit. I talked about growth mindset. Clear discipline boundaries and communication of agreements. This comes into the freedom is earned through responsibility piece that I spoke to a little earlier. We believe here at Great River that students can have a ton of freedom in the work that they do as long as they show that they can live up to that freedom and meet our expectations. And that is earned over time and through the practices that we have here at Great River. So, school transportation. This is Stacy knows more about it than I do, so I'm going to ask Stacy to come up and speak about school transportation specifically.
Okay. So school starts at 9 a.m. at Great River School and ends at 3:50. The majority of our adolescent students either do parent pickup still or use Metro Transit. We do have a bus, like four yellow school buses that we run, but we prioritize elementary students on those buses. And if like a certain bus is too full of elementary students, we don't have room for adolescents, then we won't let them ride. If there's room on the bus, we do allow adolescents to ride. We wouldn't necessarily add a stop for an adolescent student, like in a neighborhood that we're not in. We are required to serve schools with, or families that live within St. Paul. So we pull a lot of families from Minneapolis. We do have some border stops in Minneapolis, but if you live deeper into Minneapolis, there isn't going to be a stop for you in your neighborhood, and you would have to get to one of those border stops in order to ride the school bus. And in St. Paul, we try to get within 2 miles of any family who needs it. That's the state law, it's the requirement, but it's really for 1st through 6th grade. And in 7th through 12th grade, we do provide Metro Transit passes to all students who need it. So that would be completely free. And there's the 3B literally comes right in front of the school, so it's a pretty convenient stop. Plenty of students bike and walk as well. Yeah, so limited school busing. Students who are here will tell you that sometimes busing isn't great. And I don't think, from my experience, it sounds like busing isn't great anywhere in the Twin Cities. We do our best, but it's a really big challenge, and not many bus companies want to take on a school that only runs 4 buses. So we're kind of in a tough spot of not being able to find better companies either to work with us.
Thanks, Stacy. She, as part of her job, is also the transportation coordinator, so I thought she could speak to it more specifically. I also wanted to speak real briefly about our nutrition program, which I think is also unique here at Great River and also undergoing some pretty big changes here at Great River. So we have a fully functioning kitchen on site. It's on the other side of the hallway that you guys came in through here. We create from scratch food every day, hot meals 4 days a week specifically, although actually I think we switched, the current menu is 5 days a week, so the menu switches throughout the year. Locally sourced when possible, grown on site when possible, because we have a small urban farm where we grow vegetables. We have culinary arts courses that take place in the kitchen, so we have students who are learning to cook and learning to be chefs in our kitchen. Microeconomics courses where students are potentially working with the kitchen to create and sell something. And then we, of course, have, we get a lot of questions about free and reduced lunch supports. As you probably know, in the state of Minnesota, all students have been given the opportunity to eat free by the governor, and that's why our nutritional program is changing so drastically right now. We hadn't previously had a national school lunch program because we believed that we were making food that we didn't feel, how to say this exactly, like we thought we were making such good, high quality, from scratch organic food every day that meeting the requirements, the bureaucratic requirements of the National School Lunch Program was very challenging to us. And so we decided just not to have a National School Lunch Program and to feed our free and reduced lunch students free lunch based on the cost of other students around the school. So we were subsidizing those students. Now that the governor has said that all students eat for free in the state of Minnesota, we are in the process of applying for a national school lunch program so that we can be reimbursed and that our students will eat for free. All of our students will eat for free as well. But that process is about a 9-month process. So right now, today, we are not a national school lunch program. We are getting very close. And by next fall, we will have a national school lunch program, which means all of our students will eat for free starting next fall. And also, it's going to mean some changes to the menu. It's going to mean some changes to how we serve. It's going to mean some renovations to the kitchen. It's going to mean quite a bit for Great River that we're sort of navigating over the course of this year. But I just thought I'd answer that question, especially because a number of current students are regularly asking me, how come we're not eating for free right now? Didn't the governor say every student in Minnesota gets to eat for free? Well, if you have a national school lunch program, you do. So we're in that process. A typical day at Great River. Our school day actually runs 9 to 3:50. Elementary, I won't go into great depth about, but there's a 3-hour morning work period, a lunch and recess, and then afternoon workshops, art, health, wellness, music, things along those lines in elementary. In the adolescent program, adolescents have a block schedule that's designed to engage them in a variety of independent work, group work, hands-on experiences. In the 9th through 12th grade, students participate in 6 courses, typically, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Stacy, typically 4 core courses. Social studies, math, English, and science, and 2 electives. We have a Spanish program here at Great River that a lot of students participate in, especially the IB students. They have, so classes are split into a block schedule where they have 3 90-minute courses each day. And Stacy is building this schedule, so that's why I keep kind of looking over at her.
I can take that for a second. Yeah. So it is a block schedule. You said 3 90-minute courses. There's 4 courses every day.
Courses.
So
Yes.
A and B day, A days and B days. A days are Monday, Thursday. B days are Tuesday, Friday. I'm sure David will talk about Wednesday on this slide. Wednesday's a weird day here, and that's just Wednesdays are weird. And then Spanish language. Not all high schools require it, but in the state of Minnesota, it's not required. But Great River does require 2 years of a foreign language in order to graduate. And so Spanish is the language we offer here. So I would say more than 90% of our students get their foreign language credit by taking Spanish in their at least freshman and sophomore year. Many continue and do 11th and 12th grade as well.
Thank you. I don't know why I said 3. I meant, in my brain, I was thinking 4. Students also have an advisory that they meet in, an advisor that they work with to touch base with over multiple years. And in lower adolescence, students will rotate in 7th and 8th grade. Students rotate through what we call occupations, humanities, creative expressions classes, and then take integrated math and reading, and humanities is built into reading, but silent sustained reading that happens every day too. So what was the thing that you said? I'm sure David will talk about. CAS, oh yeah, Wednesdays. Wednesdays are weird because we have an A day, B day schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays are, students get a lot of independent work time, and they also participate in something called CAS, which is Creativity Action Service. It's an IB aspect of the IB program, but we've extended it all the way down to 7th grade. In 7th and 8th grade, students might be doing CAS with their teachers that involves something that their teachers are very excited about teaching about, that the students are excited about learning about, that in some way involves creativity, action, and service to the community. By the time students are in the 11th and 12th grade, they are generally going off campus Wednesday afternoons to do internships. Not all of them choose to go off campus. Sometimes those internships are happening here in the building, but generally speaking, CAS works itself up to being on-site internships for our students in the community. We also have athletics programs. Ultimate is a really huge program here at Great River, Ultimate Frisbee, if you're not familiar with it. We have basketball, soccer, volleyball, softball, cross-country, Nordic skiing. We have had football in the past. All of these things are done with a cooperative, with a group of schools. And I think we had 2 students who were participating in football. So it is possible, although not a lot of students are participating in it. We get a lot of students participating in Ultimate, a lot of students in Nordic skiing. There are certain things that are very popular here at Great River, but there are a lot of opportunities should you choose a different sport. Theater, instrumental music, choir, these are all huge here at Great River. We do 2 plays a year, a musical and a dramatic play as well each year. The musical this year was Guys and Dolls, and the dramatic play is a play that goes wrong, that's right, which I'm not familiar with, so I'm looking forward to seeing it in the spring. Clubs, robotics is a huge club here at Great River. We have a great robotics program. We have a Gender and Sexuality Alliance, the GSA, student government, Students for Social Change, Students Against Misogyny, a number of different groups that students run, and that changes each year. And we have some after-school activities too, like archery, chess, Lego League, the robotics team, things like that, that do a lot of after-school work. Who checks on us? Who says that we get to be a school? We are a charter school. We are a public, non-tuition charter school. And what that means is we have an authorizer. Our authorizer is NEO. And they measure us and take a look at how we're doing. And so I wanted to take just a minute tonight, just a very short time tonight, and talk about how we are measured as a school, because these are the types of things that families do see online, and also how we are being held accountable as a school. Now, you may have mixed feelings about standardized test scores and what that means, but we do follow state standards here at Great River, and we do have all students take the MCA tests unless they opt out of them specifically, because we are required to by the state. We also have some tests that we offer, the FastBridge and the NWEA test that we use to help support students locally and to try to get a sense of how they're doing. So we do have standardized tests here at Great River, although we try to consider them as a piece of a picture of what's going on with a student, a snapshot in a given day of what's going on with a student. And so with that in mind, we try to look specifically at longitudinal growth. So we try to look, when we're looking at numbers for Great River students, we're looking at how are they growing over time, how are the test scores showing us that we are being successful or not being successful in what areas when it comes to students' growth. For example, this is our MCA reading growth scores as compared to St. Paul Public Schools and as compared to the state. Now, the reason why we are compared to St. Paul Public Schools and compared to the state is because that's how our authorizer sort of holds us accountable. I don't want to insinuate in any way that I don't care or I wouldn't want the state or St. Paul Public Schools to be doing well on these tests also, but that's how we are looked at as a school in so many ways. So that's why I wanted to include the data. Right now, we have a lot of students in reading growth that are maintaining more than in the state and in the city, and also more students are improving than are in the state and the city. So that's what these charts are showing, that reading we do very, very well here at Great River. This is Great River. This is students, no, this is students who are improving, students who are maintaining, and students whose scores have gone down from one year to the next in terms of growth. And then these three are St. Paul Public Schools, and these three are the state of Minnesota. Yeah, I've got a lot of charts here, and we're not going to get through them all. I apologize, but we are going to share this information out, and we can also, you can look at all of these charts and graphs in our annual report, which is on our website. So we publish all of this information for you to see. This is longitudinal math proficiency. The one thing I'm going to point out here on this chart is that as you see, most St. Paul Public Schools, NEO schools, the state of Minnesota schools, everybody's scores were really impacted by COVID. We have a period of time where scores just went down across the entire state, and I'm sure across the entire nation. And what we're focused on right now, the green line is Great River. What we're focused on right now is how we can bring those scores back up to where they should be. And so recovery from the pandemic is a big part of the conversations we have when we look at these scores specifically. I'm going to show scores again in just a second, but one of the things we talk about here is supporting all students. And so we have a student services team that is made up of our director of student services, deans of students. We have 4 social workers in the building, which is very unusual for a school of our size. We have a social emotional learning coordinator. That's our student services team. We have a strong special education department and 504 support. For BIPOC students, we have BIPOC student groups, and we have a BIPOC parent group specifically. And then also we are known in the community for our support, our supportive programs for LGBTQIA+ students. We have non-gendered bathrooms here at Great River. We have a really strong GSA program, our Gender and Sexuality Alliance. And it is, like I said, part of our reputation in the community, I think, that we are a very safe place for all students. And so that includes all of these different categories. The BIPOC population, 25% of our students identify as Black, Indigenous, or persons of color. We have an equity and inclusion facilitator as part of our leadership team. We have a BIPOC parent group that reports to the board. And we have created both an equity plan and a strategic plan, where a big portion of our strategic plan is specifically tied to more equitable practices here at Great River. I would love to talk a lot about the strategic plan, but I don't have time. I just have spent the last year and a half working on it, and it is very exciting to me as a head of school. Probably not to all of you in the room, though. Reading proficiency. So this is one of the areas that you can see, for example, again, I want all students everywhere to be being successful, but we are compared, our gap information is compared to the state and to the city. So what you're looking at here is these 2 columns are GRS, these 2 columns are the state of Minnesota, and these 2 columns are the city. And what you're looking at is BIPOC students compared to white students. And so, to be completely transparent, we still have a gap between our BIPOC students and our white students in reading here at Great River. Our reading scores generally are very high, as you can see. And that gap is about 10% compared to much, much larger gaps at the city and at the state level between how our BIPOC students are doing and our white students are doing. So we've been doing good work, and we want to continue to do good work. And are we perfect? Absolutely not. We still have areas to grow. We still have work to do in this area and in others. This is in math. We also have a much smaller gap in math than the state and the city. Our math scores generally are not as high as our reading scores, which are well above the city and the state. Our math scores, if you look at them, tend to increase over time as students get towards the IB program and really take off in the 11th and 12th grade. Again, I could talk a lot about Montessori and IB and how that fits together and why we think that is. But that's the type of thing that we're using this data for, to look at trends over time. We serve all students. We have a really strong special education program. Between 15 and 20% of our students here at Great River have an IEP. We also have a large number of students with 504s, if you're familiar with what that means. So a lot of students receiving specific supports through the special ed department or through the intervention department specifically. We also have English language learners here at Great River. We don't have a huge number of them, but we do have English learners here at Great River and an English learning program and a coordinator for that program. I talked a little bit about LGBTQIA plus visibility and support here at Great River. It is certainly something we have a strong reputation for and something that we spend a lot of time talking about as far as equitable practices go. Family engagement. So what do we ask of families here at Great River? I feel like this is an important slide, and so I wanted to get to it tonight. We ask that families engage in meaningful conversation at home about interdependence, so that families are a part of this community and that they are participating in conversations with their kids about what it means to be part of the community, what it means to be a good community member. We have students take responsibility at home. So we might have students, for example, do, as part of their assignment for a class, do a home project, a cooking project, a cleaning project, something along those lines. So we expect our students to be good, responsible citizens both at home and here at the school, and we love the support of parents in making those things happen. We hold high expectations for our students. And we always ask the question, how can we be part of the solution as parents here at Great River? I mean, how can we be part of the solution? Not just coming to the school with a concern, but also coming to the school with a potential idea about how to work with us to prepare that concern. Family supports, what do you get here at Great River? We do parent education, and we're actually in our strategic plan, sort of relaunching our parent education program to include more Montessori education for parents. So if you as a parent feel a little lost about what Montessori means or is, or what it looks like in a school, we are planning on offering some opportunities for parents to learn about that, to come into the school and for them to learn alongside their students what Montessori means. We provide meaningful work and engaging work for children with high expectations, systemic support for students to be challenged, respected, and dignified in their work, and a place where you are a necessary, required member of the community. We believe that you are your child's first educator. You know your child better than we do. Even if your child has been here for 12 years, you still know them better than we do, and you are an important member in that knowledge, and that information is a key essential piece in your child's education. And so we want to partner with you and work with you as a school. What comes next? The enrollment process. Do you want to speak to this, Stacy?
So yeah, lottery will be on the 16th. Usually within 2 to 3 weeks is when you will hear if you got in or not via email. You are welcome to come and watch the lottery. It's very boring. It's usually in here, and I have a spreadsheet up there, and I run some numbers, right? Like random number generator to generate the numbers in the order that we're going to be in. That is the way you would find out right away where you are on the waiting list. Otherwise, you have to wait until we can process it and prepare a mass email merge out to everybody. And that just takes some time, especially when we're still also running a school and whatnot here. We're gonna have some info nights. So after that point, the people at the top of the waiting list, the people who are for sure getting in, will have another opportunity to come for an info night. Usually with the program director, it might be more detailed at the elementary level or the adolescent level. If elementary doesn't matter because you aren't elementary parents, but we do an intake day for them. We'll have registration forms over the summer, and then a back to school night in the late August, where it's more of an orientation and a really more detailed about what the schedule is going to be like, what those adolescent trips are going to be like. At that back to school night is the night where you split off and go learn about the specific key experience trip that you're going to be on. So that's what's going to come up next as we go through this process. Who has questions? We can maybe take a few. You can also email us questions. Just email enroll@greatriverschool.org. Any questions you have, and Karen, who is my enrollment coordinator, will get back to you. The question is, do we have a map of where the buses currently run? Yes. If you go to our website, there is a page for transportation. I think it's under current families transportation, and there's a link there to where our current bus routes run. And so we're probably going to keep very similar bus routes to what we've had in the same neighborhoods, so you can see our 4 routes and where they currently go. The question is when we have the National School Lunch Program, will it change to be like what it is at other large schools with like cardboard boxes and not as good quality food? David has been working really close with our school chef on those plans, so I'm going to let him answer.
We're literally working on the menus right now for what next year might look like. It is going to look different because the amount that we're getting reimbursed from the state, to be honest, is less than we were charging families per meal. And so we have less money to work with in some ways. But we also know that a lot more, that we're thinking that more students will participate when the meal is free. So it's a little bit of a balance. And we really want our meals to continue to be all the cool things that we do here at Great River related to nutrition. So we still want our meals to be made from scratch in our kitchen. We still want to use local ingredients when we can, organic ingredients when we can. We still want to offer vegetarian and gluten-free options. We still want all of those things to be true about our meals. It's just, we're still under development. So I don't think it will look anything like what you see at other schools, but I also don't think it will look exactly like it does right now. So it's in flux. Yeah, so the state of Minnesota actually requires that siblings in the lottery system for charter schools, that siblings get preference. And then we are given the option to have staff children also have preference, which we do here at Great River as well. And so if you come to the lottery, you'll sort of see how we use a random number generator to assign numbers, and then students who have siblings currently enrolled at Great River move up to the top of that list.